I got Coach Prime's Louis bag. I'm bringing my luggage with me. It's Louis. I'm coming. Well, we're here. Wow. And then we got the Mick Sanders pie, humble pie, ESPN. Man, fuck you. You know what? You're fucking bullshit. You can see your fucking biases.
You know, the NFL's like Big Pharma, man. And they're going to make you toe the company line. Quinn Ewers could have made more money in the transfer portal.
Beyond the narrative. Beyond the narrative. Best in class, so pray for my peers. Slingshot bullet that's clear. Your weak shots couldn't pierce through bulletproof ears. A martyr, a menace. I'm leading horses to drink and pulling teeth like I'm feeding the dentist. Beyond the narrative.
Welcome to another episode of The Crossover. Today's episode is brought to you by BTN Connect, powered by Athlete Narrative, the all-in-one recruiting platform helping athletes get seen, get signed, and get to the next level. All right, gentlemen, I made it back alive.
Yes,
I left the country for a few days. I was in hiding, and but I got to see the draft. I got to see a lot of things that's going on in sports, but I got to see the draft. And, man, I've never been glued to the TV like I was those 3 days.
Yeah.
You know, the big news is obviously Shedeur Sanders and his drop. And, you know, we were hearing that he was dropping, right? And I had said it when we had Pac-Man on the show. He talked all a bunch of shit, saying who are our sources. Well, our sources were correct in what they told us.
I've had an amazing time sitting back and watching you get vilified. It has been just such a breath of fresh air for me. Just spring air.
Man, a lot of people take it personal. I know Deion's the Messiah and all that, and it's all good, man, but homeboy paid a price.
Hey, guys, your package.
Oh, yeah, the package? Let me get that.
Package?
Yeah, I ordered a little something.
Oh, wow.
What you got there, champ?
In the spirit of the draft.
Are we breaking out props? Oh, my God. Ooh.
I got Coach Prime's Louis bag.
Oh,
wow.
shit. Oh,
You guys remember when he said he was bringing his Louis? And I got the exact quote right here. Hold on.
Wow.
Hold on. I'm bringing my luggage with me. It's Louis. I'm coming. Well, we're here.
we're here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we got some props here. We got some, the boys are going to be all right. So we'll first start with Shiloh Donuts. We got the Shiloh Donuts.
Oh, man.
He went undrafted with a big zero.
He didn't go undrafted.
He did go undrafted.
Oh, Shiloh did.
Yeah, Shiloh went undrafted.
But did he sign?
He did sign with Tampa Bay.
UDFA.
Right.
Yeah, but he's got NIL with these donuts right here. So,
Hostess.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we got the Mick Sanders pie, humble pie.
Oh,
He just signed with McDonald's. Here you go.
wow.
And then we got the Moon pie for Cam Ward, which was the first pick of the draft. Warren Moon gave up his
his
brought
number
back
one.
his number one. So here you go.
You really went deep, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
So here's a Louis bag that we got, but
Got to be more careful.
I don't know. Somebody let me borrow. But anyways, just thought we should start off the show that way.
Yeah, that's the Biggs. You're gone too far. You're gone too far.
Anyways, I'll just it's all fun and games. But listen, the Deion cost Shedeur money by his antics.
Did Deion cost Shedeur money by his
Did he
antics?
drop because of Deion?
Man, you know what? I think more than one thing can be true at the same time. I think Deion has cultivated Shedeur along the way, right? Obviously, I'm Team Prime. I love Deion Sanders. He's like one of my favorite athletes of all time, favorite personalities of all time. So I'm Team Deion. So I'm probably, you know, my perspective is probably going to be slanted a little bit towards them and their family. But I saw Shedeur grow up, right, on his show, which I was a fan and a watcher and a viewer of. I saw him go to, coach him in high school, right, and go through challenges there. He wasn't highly recruited out of high school. I saw him go to Jackson State, a HBCU, right, and I saw them bring that program and bring attention to HBCUs. I saw him take over a Colorado team that won one game the year before they got there. All right, so here we are to this point. Did he hurt him in the draft? Possibly, right? Because, like, at the end of the day, when you're charismatic, when you're successful, when you're opinionated, when you do things your way, sometimes people like it, sometimes people don't like it. So I get it, right? You need both of those in order to be, like, successful and an influencer. But when you are potentially, rank the number one, number two prospect at the quarterback position, which we all believe is the number one and the most important position in football. Mel Kiper and all the pundits had him ranked there, right? And to see him slip and fall like that, I must admit I was triggered by it. I felt some type of way about it. And at the end of the day, man, look, when you have crime, when you have a bad resume, when you have injuries, when you have all these different things, you know what I mean? You are graded and judged on that in the draft process. I've never seen arrogance be an intangible that could be a derailer. I've never seen that.
Yeah, man, it's so loaded with them. When you talk to scouts, and we had plenty of conversations with people that were involved in the process, they didn't think he was a first-round grade. Am I right or wrong?
You're not wrong. That's where, when it's my turn, I'll get up
he
and I'll
wasn't
give
a first-round grade to the people we talked about, the Mel Kipers. See, Deion has a lot of good relationships with the media, and Deion, or the media that he's friends with, don't want to piss off Deion. Or they're blinded by the I don't know what it is. It kind of feels like the mainstream media with the Democrats, and I don't mean to bring politics into this.
Okay, we got time today. Andy, the gloves are off today.
Yeah, so it's kind of the same concept in a way where everyone, if you listen to the mainstream media, you would have thought America was never going to vote Trump back in. And what happened and went the other way, if you listen to the ESPNs, the Mel Kipers, to all these people, they had him in the first round. But if you talk to organizations, they're like, he's not a first grade round. Like, he's not a first rounder. We heard it, like, from people that were involved in the process very heavily. And on top of that, he went into these interviews arrogant. And by the way, the people that we're speaking to are black gentlemen. We're not hearing this from white people because they're trying to bring race into this, and that's a bunch of baloney, in my opinion. This has nothing to do with race and everything to do with his play on the field, his ability at the next level, and his arrogance. And on top of that, I'll bring the fourth one in, Deion. Organizations do not want to deal with that, and Deion overplayed his hand. He thought he had leverage, and everybody wants to compare this to the Eli Manning situation with Archie Manning. It's two completely different situations, and I'll tell you one. Peyton was already in the league, and Peyton was going to be a generational type talent. Eli was that coming out of Ole Miss, kind of with the same thought process. Shedeur is not a generational talent. He might be a very good pro. He may be. Who knows? But now he's got to fight. And it might be the best thing that could have happened to that kid was falling to the fifth round and not be a first rounder because he got a little bit of humble pie, and Dad did too. So let's see where it happens. Nevin, you can chime in, but that's where I'm at with all this. He cost this kid a shitload of money.
Yeah. So this is my thoughts, and I've had a number of conversations. I spoke with Keyon before we did our thing, and I gave him my opinion. See, my opinion of Shedeur Sanders, and this is just my humble opinion. I don't think he was a first-round top 5 talent. I never thought that. Watching him the whole year, I never thought that. Was he a second or a third rounder? I think that's where he was best served, and I think that's where he should have been drafted. I expected, and I know I was putting out a post. I actually did. It didn't get out that Shedeur would go to the Steelers in that 4th round, which I couldn't believe he had fallen that far. I absolutely do agree that there is a scent of racial undertone in how far he dropped. I absolutely do believe that. I don't believe that it has anything to do with him not going in the first round. I didn't think he was a first-round talent. And you know what my reasons are. I've shared it off the thing. I watched him in the bowl game. I saw him just collapse in the pocket. Did he have a horrible offensive line? During that stage, he may have.
Why do you think it's racial undertones? Why do you say that?
The reason I think there's some racial undertones is because I think that really they were like the league was trying to punish him after a certain period of time. I think he dropped, and sometimes you can drop a little bit further based on speculation, whether a guy had a substance abuse problem. I've seen it. Like, I've seen it. I don't want to just start dropping names. I've seen it along the way.
Right.
But I do believe, I really, in my heart of hearts, I do believe that there was an undertone dropping that far. That's how I do feel.
Yeah.
That's really how I feel.
Could it be that this draft, a lot of teams didn't need quarterbacks?
Yeah, well,
Or they're waiting for next year because there's more elite quarterbacks coming out.
And I'd like to expand on the point. I think the fact that he dropped beyond Tom Brady's input or ownership with the Raiders, very telling to me. The fact he didn't land with the Steelers, a black head coach with a
say.
With a say,
yeah,
with a fond relationship of the kid, not with a team that, who I'm a Steeler fan, desperately
needs a quarterback.
Desperately, they drafted this kid Will Howard in the 7th round. You know what my thoughts are about that kid. So I do agree that there is an undertone, but I don't think he was deserving of a first-round draft pick, and that I stand on, and I stand on that for his brother who commented about me that I didn't know what I was talking about. I knew exactly what the fuck I was talking about because I was in the fucking war room,
right.
And I knew where Cam Ward was going.
Right.
And yeah, he didn't go to the Giants, but don't blame me. They didn't win a game, or they won a game.
And you know what, ESPN, fuck you.
Oh,
you know
please.
what?
Shit.
Man, fuck you. You know what? You're fucking bullshit. You can see your fucking biases. I'm tired of your bullshit. Same shit with the mainstream media. All right? This kid gets drafted, okay, first pick, and you put no coverage of it. It's everything Shedeur Sanders because you guys are kissing Prime's ass. Like, it's bullshit, man.
And
tell me no.
Agreed.
Because I was watching it from my phone.
And in addition to your point, I do believe Deion was writing checks for his kid that he couldn't cash. And he cost his kid a lot of money, man.
Agreed.
I'm a Deion Sanders fan as a football player. He was amazing. He's a good dad. I have no problem. You take care of your kid the way he does. But man, he thought he was bigger than the establishment, and they smushed him.
Yeah. You know, he went to a gunfight with a knife. Like, and you cannot see in business. You got to have leverage. And he overthought this whole entire process. And here's the other part. He should have gotten representation because he would have gotten a better pulse for his son, but he decided to represent him. And Shiloh fired him and signed with Drew Rosenhaus. It's like a doctor or a surgeon. If you talk to any doctor or any surgeon, they will not treat their parents. And I know a lot of them. There's a reason for that. And in this same type of situation, you need to you got him to this point, remove yourself from it.
Yeah. Well, what I'll say also, man, like, look, there's this historical context that we have to have around black quarterbacks, right? For years, we weren't allowed to play the position, right? You know, we weren't cerebral enough. You know what I mean? We're too athletic. We might need to move, you know, Lamar Jackson to wide receiver. You know what I mean? All these different things, right? So now you have a pure pocket passer, right, who has shown his ability to make plays, 40 plus touchdowns, 10 interceptions, you know, conference player of the year, et cetera, ranked very high going into the draft, right? We've seen other people with questionable behaviors. Like, think about it. We're talking about, like, arrogance as a trait, as a personality trait, or overconfidence being a derailer from what you do on the field. I don't think it was just about his personality. I think that Deion is a threat to the power infrastructure, right? Because he did it his way. He's always been very charismatic and authentic to who he is, and he did it his way with his rhythm, his cadence, right? And so I think it wasn't just about the kid, man. It was about, like, showing his pops. Like, dude, like, nah, fall in line. You know, this is a time we can G-check you.
You're right on that. And let me, you know, and I said this the other day. Maybe I said it to you. I don't remember who I was. But man, the NFL is like big pharma. You know, the NFL is like big pharma, man. And they're gonna make you toe the company line, and that's what you're really.
It's a private entity.
That's what you're really referring to.
It's subjective.
Yeah, that's
like
what you're really
sports,
referring
entertainment.
to.
Somebody that I trust very well called me over the weekend and told me sometimes you gotta learn how to play the game.
You got to play the game. You do have to play the game, right? Because, like, at the end of the day, when you're going for a job interview, it's not just about like your way, right? You have to have enough humility, right? And you have to be in alignment with what the institutional organization that you're trying to work for. So I get that part. But what I'm saying is that we minimize, like, strength, infrastructure, covering, and prestige. And we accept fatherlessness, you know what I mean? Like, questionable behavior and things like that. And that's acceptable. but because there's strength in a father backing you,
It's frowned
you know what I
upon.
mean?
Yeah.
It's frowned upon in not all the time, not holistically, right? Because there has been other
in
fathers.
certain select
Yeah,
situations.
it's very selective. I remember LeVar Ball, right? And how they treated the Ball brothers. And when he was saying his kids were the best, right? Big baller brand, all that. Well, those kids have all gone on and had great success. I remember some of the struggles that, King Richard dealt with the Williams twins. I remember some of those things, right? And so, like, at the end of the day, it's Deion and his infrastructure and the fact that America, the world, has not necessarily seen a black father in that role. I think it makes some people uncomfortable. Now, some people, it makes you love them. Some people says like, no, that's arrogance. And I think that's an undertone that we have to kind of, address, because it just wasn't about this kid's performance on the field, because all the pundits had him in the top 2 as quarterbacks.
I'm in agreement with your statements. I think, I hate the fact that we even get into race when it comes to certain topics, but unfortunately it can't be overlooked. Like, this is what it is, man. And I do believe there's an undertone to how far he dropped. The NFL, in my opinion, just said to Deion, like, yo, you don't run shit.
Yeah.
And they said, look, you don't run shit.
Yep.
And this is how it's going to be. And I think the message was out there, man. I think he got Colin Kaepernick right into the back of the draft.
But I saw humility. Like,
Yeah.
even though he
They
went
handled
where
it
he
well.
went, even when they
Shedeur handled it well. I gotta give him credit.
They handled it like, okay, I'm just happy to be here,
Yeah.
right? No matter how you get in,
And even
you
the way
get
they
there.
celebrated when he got drafted.
Yeah.
As 5th round or 1st round, man, it was a
He
moment
didn't say
of,
I'm going to Canada.
Right,
He didn't say I'm going
right,
to the
right,
XFL.
right.
He didn't say, you know what, damn all that. I'm gonna be a grad assistant under my dad and just like go to Colorado
Yeah.
and be the quarterback coach. He said like all I was looking for was a chance, right? And that's what that kid said. Now look, the Giants might have said what they said about him, right? Because we've been hearing about that. But look, what did you say when Barkley was up for a free agent and you signed the quarterback instead of Barkley? You have no clout, you have no authority. Who the fuck champion you?
No lies
You know what I
being
mean?
told,
The
man.
reputational
No lies being
standard,
told, man.
right? Who are the Giants? They
Yeah.
haven't done anything since Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Which Eli Manning's father said, we're not going to San Diego.
Yeah.
But I digress.
No.
Well. Again, I
Yeah.
go back to the point.
Go ahead.
You got to have leverage in business.
You do.
Deion did not have leverage with Shedeur. That's number one. He didn't.
that
He
was a different type of leverage at that time, going back to the
and
Eli
Archie
Manning
did it
thing.
behind closed doors. What happened was the Chargers said, fuck you, and they leaked it to the media, and that's where it became a firestorm in the media. But Archie did it behind closed doors, and the only spot he didn't want him to go was to the Chargers because it was a fucking disaster.
And it was an ownership problem with Alex
Yeah.
Spanos at that time.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
That situation.
So Archie didn't want his son to go to an organization
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
thought
True.
it was an organizational problem.
that was
correct.
dysfunctional.
But he didn't do it loud and in public because Archie is more laid back than Deion. He's not as polarizing.
Well-
but it's the same it's the same goal.
How about
right?
how
It's
about
the same
Archie?
function.
How about Archie was more strategic?
He might have. Yeah, he definitely was.
He was more strategic.
This
the minute
was
you start
this was
pounding your
pre-social
chest-
media.
Yeah.
The
minute-
other thing is he was guaranteed to be the first pick.
That's the other thing. And that's why I'm saying Deion did not have that leverage as Shedeur. This whole top 5 notion is him and his buddies in the media that created it.
Let me just give you the facts on that. Eli Manning and the Chargers situation, the Chargers needed a quarterback desperately. Phillip Rivers was going to be the trade-off.
Right.
That's
He
why
did well.
That's what
Phillip had a great career.
and that's why that transaction took place.
Yeah, because
It was-
Chargers drafted Eli.
Yeah.
Right. It was
Yeah.
tailor-made
Yeah.
for that type of
But
situation.
a few things can be true in the same sense. I agree. They could have handled things better. I think as a parent, you want to guide your kids, right? Get them to a certain level. He got them through high school. He got him through college. He got him through his next stage in college. I think you have to hand them off, right? You have to get media training. When you're going through the draft process, it's just not about your athleticism. You have to get media training.
Yep.
You have to get with a strength and conditioning coach, right? You have to have all these different elements so that when you go through the interview process, you're equipped, right?
You're a
You can
brand
answer
now.
the question.
You're a brand
And,
now.
and here's a reference that I keep hearing. You kind of alluded to this. You didn't say the names, but I'll say them for you. Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield, that compare this situation. Guess who drafted those guys? Was the Browns.
It was the
They
Browns.
already went through it.
But what round?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But
It
they
does
already-
matter.
Okay, but sometimes you learn in business. Sometimes you learn from your mistakes. I'm not going to take this kid now in the first round or in the second round. I'll take him in the fifth round because if he starts acting like a clown or like a fool, it's a lot easier to get rid of a fifth rounder than it is to a first or
But
second
Andy,
rounder.
you just said acting like a fool. This
Right.
kid has not done that.
Right.
He has not been in trouble. He didn't
Right.
get caught drunk, get disturbances. He didn't have those behavioral issues. His behavioral issue that we are now considering a behavioral issue is that
arrogance.
he's overconfident. Now, he's known as being a cerebral quarterback who can read the defense and things like that because he's not an athlete. He doesn't scramble and things like that. So he's a pocket passer. He makes decisions. He's known as being cerebral, right? But they also said that he didn't have the schemes down, right, in the meeting. But he's a cerebral quarterback. Like, at the end of the day, man, we got to just make it make sense. I understand it. I get it. Two things can be true at the same time.
I agree
They
with that.
screwed him over,
Yeah.
and they didn't help themselves along the way through the process.
I think every point that's been made here is spot on. I don't think anyone's wrong with their assessment. I don't. I don't think anyone's wrong with their assessment.
and we good, buddy. Like, we on the same team. we all BTN now.
And just to add to your point, Baker Mayfield, first overall pick. Johnny Manziel, 22nd overall in the first round.
Yeah, they're both, and by the Browns. Sometimes you just learn your lesson. You're like, I'm not going to go down this road again. And by the way, the general manager, when they selected this pick, and it seems like this pick came probably from the owner. We don't know. It'll come out. He didn't look too thrilled that they picked
he didn't.
him. He didn't. He did not look thrilled.
Let me say this. If Shedeur Sanders pans out to be a decent quarterback and leads this team, they got a hellified defense.
Agreed.
This kid may have landed
In the right situation.
in the right spot to
Right.
begin with.
But now the Browns' philosophy now, right? You got Watson. They'll let him go, right? Then you got Pickett, your boy Pickett from the Steelers. Then you draft Dylan Gabriel. For the life of me, that kid cannot play in the NFL.
But
I'll say it right now.
I don't get that whole.
I do not understand it from the life.
But if you look at people's grades on Cleveland, they got like an A+.
How? How?
Because they got Shedeur in the 5th round.
Yeah.
That's how they got an A+.
Yeah.
Because you got somebody who was considered a top 2 quarterback in the 5th round.
They got him for a
In my opinion, Dylan Gabriel should have been undrafted.
They got him for a Walmart special,
Undrafted.
man. They got Shedeur for a Walmart
Yeah,
special.
he's a lefty, but he's no Steve Young.
No. And when you saw him play a really good defense, you saw his limitations. That guy cannot play at the next level, and they're not going to run that type of spread offense to tailor his game. That's just doesn't work in the NFL.
You know when I really knew that it was deeper than just his talent? When the Steelers didn't take him in the 4th round.
Agreed.
I really knew the jig was up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know when I knew Nev? When the defensive coordinator from the Falcons' son prank called him.
Yeah.
That's when I knew it was like deeper than just the talent.
You
It was
know
like,
what?
we got to stick it to your champ.
Yeah, it's
that
a
was
hate. It was a hate.
Unwarranted.
It
I don't know how
reached
that
hate
kid
level.
got that phone number. It's fucked up, man. That should have never happened. Honestly, I troll Deion and I lose my shit with him. But from a human standpoint, I hate that the kid Shedeur went through this, and I hate that they did that to him. No one deserves that, and it's fucked up. And that kid should be reprimanded and however they're gonna handle it, and should be held accountable for that.
Last point I'll make on this, man. Like, a delay is not a denial, right? Just because something doesn't happen instantly doesn't mean it won't happen gradually. Gilbert Arenas was a 2nd round pick, was considered a lottery pick, right? When you're in the 2nd round, you sign a shorter deal. He got to his money. So those 1st round picks, those lottery picks, when they were making their $4 or $5 million, Gilbert was on a $66 million deal. So hopefully, Shedeur can bottle all of this up, be humble enough to, totally lock in to being in Cleveland, because I think he's going to get an opportunity there.
Yep.
But it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Obviously, we're talking about it because they are a polarizing family, right? And they mean a lot to sports, at least a certain demographic in sports. They
He
mean
has
a
a
lot.
good shot being the starter day one, right?
Not day one.
Joe Flacco is 40 years old.
I know.
Plus. Deshaun Watson
Questionable behavior.
is working on his Achilles and
And what?
you know where I'm going. Dylan Gabriel is my height. There's a 4th quarterback that I'm leaving.
Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett is a former Steeler. Thank God he's their problem. And Shedeur Shedeur's I think he's in a great position.
Right.
Truth be told, I think he's in a great position. Maybe he doesn't come out as a starter, but I think he's definitely in line for a backup and for starting roles during the season.
So
for a team that can go to the playoffs with their defense.
With their defense,
And Nick Chubb is a great running back.
Yeah.
Didn't they draft a running back too?
I'm not sure if they did.
Yeah, I thought they got the kid from Ohio.
I watch Black and Gold, man. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
So the last thing I'm going to say is it's ironic that he ended up with the Browns after Deion's tweet.
Yeah.
That's it. All right, moving on. Quinn Ewers.
Can I have the moon pie?
You can have the moon pie.
You can have the moon pie for $2.47. You can have the moon pie. Anyway, so moving on. Quinn Ewers, he should have got back to college, cost himself a shitload of money.
You know, when you brought this up in our production meeting, I was all too happy to speak about it for a number of reasons. Being that I represent the NIL behind the scene situation, Quinn Ewers could have made more money in the transfer portal than in the NFL. How do you guys like that first statement?
Yeah.
Okay, for all the pro NIL or anti NIL, like there's your option. That kid got screwed. He took a pay cut going to the NFL.
They're saying he could have got $8 million.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he took a pay cut going to the NFL. He sounds like my former players at the U. He took a pay cut when he went to the league.
You know, and the thing about that as well is that, like, man, Arch Manning is a polarizing figure, right? He has the pedigree. He has the game to back it up, right? And he's on your heels every year. So Quinn, when he came out of college, Quinn Ewers, when he came out of college, out of high school, he was considered the number one prospect, right? And so he probably still had that image of himself, and he cost himself some money in doing that, right? But he made that choice. He made that decision.
Yep.
And that's the great thing about, like, the American way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he might, find his rhythm on the next level. However, man, like for me, if you can go back to college, come out with degrees, make some money along the way, I would take that over, being a, 7th round pick?
Live by the sword, die by the sword, man.
At the end of the day, he definitely cost himself some money.
He definitely did, and it is. Let that be a lesson for all these guys jumping into the portals, jumping into the league. I got to get that bag. Maybe the bag's in college.
Yeah, Nev, you've been around the game a long time, and you've been very heavily involved. Let me ask you this question, because now, I've been exposed to a lot of these different situations, and I'm seeing a lot of handlers, agents, parents. Is this at an all-time high with just bad advice to these kids?
God. I mean, Andy, what did we witness last week?
Oh, my God.
What did we witness?
Yeah.
How many people have landed in my lap that I didn't ask for? 4 and 5 stars, would you say?
Former.
Okay. And, man, they got no home to go to.
Right.
It is despicable. God, I could just go and go.
And it's ugly, man, because you got parents fighting over the situation, misperceptions, misnotions on situations. They're getting advice from 40 different people.
Everyone's an agent. Everyone's a runner. Everyone's got their eye on their own pocket.
Right.
There is nothing behind what's best for the kid in reality.
Yeah.
And, I'm dying to tell the one story, but I'm not going to.
We're not going to do that.
No, I'm not going to. No. And, man, what I witnessed just made me ill. It makes me, it's a
And
set.
like that story, there's hundreds of them going on right now. And it's just sad because the ones that are being impacted are these kids.
It's bad.
Sometimes families in this situation, man, they'll rather hear a pretty lie than a hard truth. Right?
Boy,
and we've spoken to some kids and given them hard truths, but they don't want to hear it. So they minimize the 30, 40 years of experience. And they think it's like haterism. When we're just being honest. Like when people will be honest with you and tell you the truth about it, those are the people you need to respect and appreciate and value.
Yeah, and some of the advice that we've been giving is long-term, not short-term.
For sure.
And a lot of the advice these kids are getting are very short-term, short-sighted type solutions where they're going to solve a temporary problem now because they're getting some money up front right now, but it's not going to create a generational type situation for them because of what they're doing.
Social media, because they get to be their own media and tell their own story, they only see it from their perspective, right? In their limited universe. They're not seeing the big picture.
This is its own this topic right here is its own show.
It is.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's its own show. I don't even think we can come close to covering the gamut.
Agreed. It's just sad, man. But parents out there, man, look at what just happened with Shedeur dropping. Other situations that are going on in the portal. Surround yourself with good people that have the best intentions for your kids. Don't do it alone because you're going to be taken for a ride by these handlers, by these wannabe agents, and by these programs.
Yeah. I just saw it came up on my Instagram feed or one of these, like 5 stars, former 5 stars that went undrafted in this past NFL draft. And when I tell you there were 7 guys, it was startling to me. Startling. I couldn't believe it. Some of these, I couldn't believe it. One, Donovan Edwards, the running back from Michigan, star in the national championship game, undrafted. That was top 3 player coming out of school, top 5.
You got to surround yourself with an infrastructure that has your best interest, and that's not happening.
Yeah,
you're getting pulled a million different directions because they're trying to get at your money.
Yep, absolutely.
That's what's going on here. And parents, man, just be careful. I'm just telling you. All right, moving on to the NBA. Lakers versus Wolves. Minnesota's up 3-1. Lakers are done. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, usually, historically, when you're down 3-1 without home court advantage, it's difficult. But they still do have, a couple superstar players in Luka and LeBron. They haven't utilized their bench. I think JJ has to find ways to get his guys recovery, instead of playing them, 24 minutes
Listen,
straight.
your best player is 40 years old.
He's 40 years old.
You were up 10 in that game. You got to find some minutes there for him on the bench.
And you can do it. Like, every quarter there's television timeouts, there's TOs that happen, right? So you got to kind of know if you're going to use a timeout or there's a television break coming. Maybe sneak a minute, right? Sneak a minute of rest, right? So not only does he get that minute, but then he gets that 3 minute of the timeout. So he gets a 4-minute recovery, right, to be able to kind of go back out. You got to be able to, utilize your bench in those little pockets and just hold the fort until those guys can come in and they can
with a small lineup the whole game. I think he played a center 4 minutes. That's it, the whole entire game.
Yeah. Well, they don't have a lot of size, number one.
Right.
Number two, like in order to create mismatch problems and switches and things like that, you want to have guys who can attack Rudy Gobert because you don't want him to have a big impact at the rim with his size. You want to kind of exploit him being on the court and look for matchups. So, yeah, man, it's just little adjustments. But, like, when you're down 3-1, and we haven't mentioned Anthony Edwards yet.
Yeah, I was going to
You know what I mean? Super confident, super talented, loves the moment, benefited from being around LeBron and those guys with the USA basketball, had a great playoff run last year. But you got a young superstar. You got a young Thundercat over there.
And definitely not getting drafted in the 5th round with all that confidence.
Absolutely. Confidence, arrogance, and confidence didn't.
Just saying.
Yeah, it didn't slow him down.
Yeah. I think Lakers win the next game, 3-2. The NBA and their media partners will see to that. And I think Game 6 gets real interesting. But man,
you think it goes 7?
Possibly.
Yeah, because the NBA will have their hand in there.
Yeah. Initially, I picked the Lakers in this series, but the way that it's been going, you can just kind of see the writing on the wall that the Wolves just got too much youth.
Yeah, and I love Anthony Edwards, man.
Yeah, he's a beast.
I love his game, man. He's exciting to watch. Yeah.
So there was some controversy yesterday, Knicks, Pistons.
Yeah.
Was that a foul?
That was a foul. I think a lot of times, like, the human element of referees, because they're not machines, right? They can, they don't want to make a call to determine the game. They want to kind of let players, kind of figure out the outcome. And so it was controversial. It happens really fast. Refereeing is not an easy job. Obviously, I thought it was contact. I don't think Tim, leaned in or anything like that. I think, Hart closed out. But I think the NBA came out and said that they missed that call, right?
Yeah.
Now, Detroit don't want to hear that shit right now.
Yeah, of course not.
Like that's not gonna sit well with Coach Bickerstaff and that young hungry group of players. But yeah, I think it was an error, and
they jacked that call.
They jacked the call, champ.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Straight up.
It happens.
Yeah.
I
can tell you one thing, man. Those were sitting on the floor with the Heat, doing that during that ride. I know I changed a few calls. I talk so much shit though, man. I just annoyed.
I just hate to see Stephen A. pounding his chest this morning and going all fucking nuts. And God, I hate the Knicks.
You don't like the Knicks?
No, fuck.
Man, man,
No.
The game does so much better
when they're good.
when the big market teams, and I know
Man.
small market teams don't want to hear this, but like it's like a lot of people in New York. So if you just have that fan base watching,
Oh man, you know
the
how loud it
impressions
is?
that you get,
Oh, yeah.
like you know what I mean, compared to like Oklahoma City,
It's
where
literally
there's
the
it's
Mecca.
very
It's the
rural.
Mecca for a reason.
34th Street, man. You know how?
But they're a
you know-
bunch of losers, if you ask me. But go ahead.
Man, you know how loud it is in that place? Man, oh, it's amazing, man.
Yeah.
I've never been.
Oh, really?
Oh,
No.
well, we got to go,
No,
champ.
never
We'll go to
been.
Philippe
Never been.
Child's, or we'll go to one of the
Yeah,
good
man.
restaurants.
There's a
Oh,
great
man.
bagel spot across the street.
Peter Luger's or something like
Oh,
that. Get a good
man.
steak.
Yeah,
Shout
yeah.
out to Williamsburg, man.
Yeah, straight up.
I actually like the lefty.
Brunson.
Brunson.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
he's a
best
good
clutch
little
player in the NBA.
Yeah, yeah.
Over the past season.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player. I like watching him play. But
And his dad's one of the assistant coaches.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nepotism.
I remember him back when.
Slight nepotism.
that's the world we live in today, right? So the Heat, they're down 3-0. They don't have a chance. We
Yeah.
can move on from that. If you guys
Yeah.
have any comments on that, but
Yeah, no, it's okay. Like they brought in props earlier. You can bring out the broom. You don't get swept. I hate to see it, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's necessary because like I think they'll make some adjustments.
Yeah.
Dame kind of going down, kind of takes that out. But I think Pat Riley will make some moves this summer.
I
think so,
see the
too.
Greek. I just somehow see the Greek freak ending
Right.
up in Miami.
I think so too.
I'm on that.
We're gonna get somebody.
I'm on that.
Either
Yeah.
Katie or him.
I'm on that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Who would you rather?
Oh, the Greek freak. He's just from a age standpoint
Right.
only.
Right.
Yeah. You know who I would like to see get down to Miami? Like a Ja Morant. Right? He's straight up and down. I would like to see a Ja Morant come and get in the Heat
I'm
culture.
surprised John's dad hasn't reached out to you for some advice.
Oh, his dad wouldn't be courtside dancing, you know what I mean, in Miami.
Yeah.
But-
What's his dad's name?
T. Morant. Timeout, technical foul, false start,
what I'm
offside. Get him out of here.
man.
But here's the reason why I say that. Because I think a player like that is still in their prime.
Yeah.
I think Memphis is going through a transition, right? They got a new coach.
But does Riley? That's not a Riley type player though.
Man, Pat Riley has taken people who you might not think is a Riley
Right.
Heat culture type person,
You know, you might be
and got
onto
them to
something, KD.
and got them to buy into it and taking their game to a whole
You may
nother
be
level.
onto something, man.
Like I think right now, Ja is somebody who is tradable just because of some of the PR problems
Man,
he's
you may
had,
be right on
some of the
something.
lack of success that he's had. I think like if you're gonna go out and get a max player and do a max deal, you want to get somebody who can take your franchise to another level. And I just believe with the Heat infrastructure.
So you're gonna put Ja in the middle of Miami?
I'll put him in the middle of Miami. I've seen it. I've seen some people come to Miami.
yeah.
And really like buy into the Heat culture
Yeah.
and learn how to not let
Miami's not Memphis.
But
Like,
don't let South Beach seduce you, like you know what I mean. But
KD,
like you can
man.
go, like we can.
You
Like,
can forget about South, but 11's right down the street from the arena.
I'm just saying, like I just think that Ja could really benefit from the Heat
man, I
culture.
think you're really on something. I'm feeling.
It just came to me.
I'm feeling that move.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could shoot up Club 11, man. I love it, man. I mean, when
He's not shooting anymore.
you know what I'm
He's throwing
saying? Oh,
grenades now. He's throwing grenades now.
Club 11 will throw
I
him the
think
grenades.
here's now let's get past the trolling a little bit. If you had like a UD here, I think it would be a good move. I just don't know who would be that guy on that team to really have that veteran leadership. Maybe a Bam, I don't know, to take him under his wing because that's a really young team now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you had like a UD there,
I love that move.
yeah,
man.
to check his ass, I could see it working. But dropping that kid off in Miami with the issues he's had, Miami, listen, man,
I'm gonna have to
you
start.
gotta
working
have a
little hard.
certain level of discipline in Miami.
You do.
And I don't think he has that. Let's just call it out. I
feel
don't
you.
think he has it.
I gotta
And
work the wire on that one. I love that move, man.
I just know what it did for me in my life and my career.
Right.
It really.
You were here 1 year though.
I was here 1 year, but that one year I took along with me every other step.
Right.
Like it
no,
really
I
was-
mean from an organizational standpoint, yeah, but still Miami. I don't know. It could work. I mean, Miami could use him.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Celtics, Magic. Celtics are up 3-1. That series is over.
Yeah, well, the thing about this that intrigues me is that the Magic play so physical. They're really banging the Celtics up. Now, it might not have an impact on their outcome, But like as you go deeper into the playoffs, like getting nicked up, getting banged up, Tatum has gotten hurt, Brown has gotten hurt. It's been really, really physical. I think that's something that we got to kind of watch moving forward. The Celtics and their health.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, those games have been close. It hasn't been like it's been blowouts.
The Magic's
on their way up. They're on their way up.
Yeah,
There's some young teams, man. Detroit, Orlando, nice.
Yeah.
Huge.
Houston. Yeah. I was about to say them too.
sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right, so the Warriors pull out for win without Jimmy. Huge. They're up 2-1 against the Rockets. Can this team survive this series without Jimmy?
I think so. I think they can win this. At the end of the day, I don't think you can go further than this round for them, whether they have Jimmy or not.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think they can have that. They can, go to the conference finals.
Sure.
But, like they're battle tested, and the Rockets have been a worthy opponent. Like they play good basketball. It's just when you have Steph on the squad, it's hard to win.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's Steph.
He's Steph, yeah. Best player on the
Chef
court.
Curry.
Any thoughts on?
I'm a huge Steph Curry fan. I think they get through the series regardless. If Jimmy's not there now, dead. Like I said on our
Dead in the water, yeah.
Dead in the water.
Yeah, agreed. All right, gentlemen, that concludes our show. Brought to you by the McSanders Pie. Make sure to get it at your local McDonald's. And we're out.
We out of here, champ. You already know.
Beyond the narrative. Beyond the narrative. Best in class, so pray for my peers. Slingshot bullet, it's clear. Your weak shots couldn't pierce through bulletproof ears. A martyr, a menace. I'm leading horses to drink and pulling teeth like I'm feeding the dentist. Beyond the narrative.